I'm going to call the Middlebury Selectboard meeting of Tuesday, October 28th to order. First item is approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Are there any changes to the agenda? Dave?
Nope.
No changes to the agenda. Everyone in support of approving the agenda as drafted signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is approval of the consent agenda.
I move.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Comments? Anything on the
I
consent
did
agenda?
notice that in the Energy Committee minutes, Dan Rafferty was marked like a Schrodinger's cat, both here and not here.
Interesting.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Hard to do.
I don't know if he was there or if he
Spiritual
wasn't
presence,
there,
yeah.
but he was both. He
Well-
was there and not there.
It happened once in Rose.
We'll check that. Check the video.
Good catch. Anything else?
Voorhees is the minute taker. I'll have to straighten out.
Anything else? Hearing nothing else, everyone in favor of approving the consent agenda with the one question to be determined, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next is citizen comments. Anybody here for something not on the agenda?
That's me.
Absolutely.
Two quick things. I'm Richard McCurk. Two quick things, neither of which has the word airport in it.
Airport.
Edison County Economic Development having its annual meeting on the 5th.
Yeah.
Where is that?
It's going to be at Town Hall Theater, and I encourage anybody that's interested to sign up and come. You can get on to their sign-up page at the EDC website, and there's lots going on with our annual meeting, so come if you can. And also, next item is on Saturday night, there will be a concert to which I'm inviting all of you.
Whoa.
At the Matt Mahaney Arts Center of the Middlebury College Community Chorus. And as you hear us 100 or so, mostly older adults, singing our hearts out, I hope you'll come back here with the thought that, what can we do to support that group?
I usually sing in it. I
When
skip
is the
this
Town
one.
Hall Theatre
I didn't
thing?
skip. Yeah.
Sorry?
When is the event at the Town Hall Theatre?
Town Hall Theater, the annual meeting is Wednesday the 5th.
5th of November.
Yes, and I think it starts at 7, it could be 7.
That's right.
Richard, I heard
It's earlier.
that the regional planning meeting with all of the community planners was very educational.
Very educational.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of paperwork, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I think they put on a good event.
They do. They do. And it takes a lot of work, but
Yeah.
it's an important goal. And so, yeah, they're terrific. Alex Armani Munn, our EDC director, is very involved in that process as well. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good.
Good,
That's all. Thank you.
thanks.
Come to the concert. It's free.
Ta-da.
Forgot to mention.
All right, see you.
The Development Review Board appointment, at the last meeting, we nominated James Kirby and Todd Nebraska. And tonight, I'd like to have the deliberation or a motion for one of them to be appointed to the current vacancy on the DRB.
I would move to appoint Todd Nebraska.
I'll second.
I can just comment that his experience in the field of construction is superior. And he came to our session and, I appreciate that we have two applicants to choose from, and later in the agenda, there's the idea of appointing an additional alternate. So there's a way to perhaps involve the other candidate as an alternate later on, if we decide to do that. Anyway, I think Todd is the best qualified of our applicants, and we're lucky to have him.
Motion and a second. Anybody else make any comments, questions? If not, All in favor of approving the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Oh, sorry.
Does the DRB have alternates?
Yes, the current alternate is Jason LaRock.
Okay.
So,
You want to wait till David comes to talk about that?
yeah, we'll just wait because Jason did resign his alternate
Who did?
position today.
Wow.
So I have a letter from him resigning, and were you gonna talk about something on that? If not, maybe we can take it up now.
I think David's going to speak to that when he
Dave Hamilton
arrives.
is scheduled
Okay.
to speak. I
Okay.
think he had some ideas about that exact issue, about the alternates and maybe a way to deal with some of the quorum issues that I think have come up. We ran into one
Okay.
last night, so he was going to dive into that a bit.
I would just add, in preparation for that, you know, the statute 24 VSA 4460 that authorizes, review boards, does provide that planning commission members can be alternates. And, for the point where the planning commission helps to draft amendments to the zoning and update that, having a person who attends and is more familiar with how it works in practice, in my experience, has been useful and informative for the planning commission in writing it in the first place. But anyway, there's other sources of alternates that you might also consider.
And Todd is here.
Yeah, congratulations. Okay, is David online or?
Doesn't look like yet.
We're a little ahead of schedule though.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't we go to the charter committee update?
Yeah! We're having a great time. It's a great group.
So, as the agenda notes indicate, this was established in May, and you appointed me and Andy Hooper and Izzy Gorky as the members, and we have been fortunate to have the staff, Mark Brinsky and David Sofrin as well, joining in pretty regularly. The committee met in June, right after that, and I was elected chair, and they decided to meet monthly at 1-hour meetings on the first Tuesdays before our regular meetings, because they figured they'd be in town for the Selectboard meeting. So we've had 5 meetings, and that's 5 hours worth of actual board work, which is not a huge, rapid pace. We have gone through the 1972 charter. I suppose I should back up just for the benefit of people who are watching. And the town charter is sort of like Middlebury's constitution of how our local government is organized, the roles and duties of the different elements, the board versus the manager, and so forth. And it's an act of the legislature. In Vermont, municipalities are creatures of the legislature, and so the legislature has to approve charter amendments.
Curse you, Dylan.
So that's a reference to an activist, Judge Dillon, who created Dillon's rule. It said in this part of the country, as opposed to other parts of the country, municipalities could only do what the legislature expressly authorizes them to do. In other parts of the country, there's this thing called home rule, where communities can do things that are not already prescribed by the state legislature. Anyway, for those of you who are adherents to Dillon's rule, we are told we're subject to that. That's the sort of legal framework that we operate under. In Middlebury's history, the town was chartered in the 1790s, I forget what year exactly, by Benning Wentworth, the governor of New Hampshire, but the village itself was first chartered as the borough of Middlebury in 1816 and rechartered as the village of Middlebury in 1832. And when I was working in the town archives, there were multiple copies of this booklet. It was published in 1935, which is fascinating for the level of detail of explicit authorities. And this went through the series of amendments to its enactment. And I'll spare you, there's 16 different times between 1816 and 1935 that the legislature acted to amend our charter. And there's a level of detail in here that is everything prohibiting skinny dipping in Otter Creek between certain properties, to building code regulations requiring parapet walls in between buildings for fire protection. Because at this point in history, the town had recent in its memory the Great Fire in the downtown. So there's a lot more detail and regulation that exists now. Fast forward, the town and village merged in the 60s, 1972. The town adopted its first charter, sort of comprehensively revised. And Betty Nuovo actually was involved as the chair of the committee that worked on this at the time. This is also an extra copy from multiple copies that were in the archives. There is obviously one in the archives that the town has, but instead of throwing it out or recycling that, I decided to save it because of this project. So the charge to our committee in May was basically to research and develop proposed amendments for presentation to the full board, and that the full board would discuss and determine changes and any public process. So we have not done any public outreach on this. We've simply gone through it with the staff. I might say there have been 4 specific amendments to our town charter since 1972. One was the enabling authority for a special kind of assessment district, which is today we know as the Downtown Improvement District Commission. And the local option tax in 2008, and then switching from elected auditors to an appointed auditor, professional auditor, and then finally the appointment of a treasurer as opposed to electing one. But those are very specific things and did not go through the other parts of this. And there are some parts of this that are archaic. There's this new thing out since 1972 called the internet, and we've grown to adopt other practices that delegate more and rely more on the professional town manager system. And so the idea of updating the charter was to reflect those things and consider what other things seemed appropriate at the time. So in working through this, we operate like any other committee. Our meetings are open to the public, and we haven't had a lot of attendees, although we had one come in with an idea I'll talk about later. But there's a working draft that was a Google Doc, and the staff is in the process of incorporating all of that and producing a clean markup version. I have to say that the process for amending the charter is extensive. The statute has all these steps and procedures and timetables. So it isn't just simply having the select board agree and go to a vote. There's multiple hearings, there's required notices in the paper certain days before. And I will spare you the details of this, but I finally mapped it out in a meeting I had with Mark. We had hoped to be able to produce something by November, but a couple of factors just make that really unrealistic as a schedule. We would have had to have, as a committee, run through it and feel comfortable with it by the first meeting in October, and it would have had to come to the board, and the board absorbed what took us 5 hours to
Right, this was like looking backwards to get this onto the town meeting warning.
Yeah.
We would basically have to be doing the public hearings for the charter at the same time that we're working on the budget. And we felt like that was too much, and we don't really need to make this 50-year change.
Yeah.
Like urgently, we can wait a year and do this maybe during a summer lull or something in preparation for the 27 rather than 26.
Even if we were able to proceed like clockwork, nobody had any problems with any changes. Nobody suggested that we change things. Got it warned. It would get to the legislature after town meeting. There's a procedure after town meeting where the Secretary of State has to check and make sure we did all the filings and hearings. And it ultimately gets to the legislature actually in April, when they're about ready to adjourn. It would be better if it arrived at the legislature at the beginning of the session, although there are some legislators who think that things that arrive that are not controversial at the end actually can have
And they do approval of charter changes that come from town meeting.
We did invite the chair of the House Committee that has jurisdiction over this House General,
GovOps and Military Affairs.
right, Representative Byron, and he was very helpful in telling us how town charters go through, what things are red flag issues that cause the bill to stay on the wall, and
The word
parlance
pass.
of legislative committees, meaning they don't take it up, it just stays there pinned on the wall of the bill. Things that involve new taxation authority, changes in voting rights, or Second Amendment stuff like Burlington Drive for regulating weapons and bars and so forth. Those are things that end up getting sidetracked either by having to go to other committees of jurisdiction or interest groups in the legislature. And we have none of that thus far in our proposal. As I mentioned, we had one individual come in, Ross Conrad, who sent us an email, and he had an idea for regulating local
workers'
businesses.
right of first refusal for any business sale within Middlebury.
There you go.
Right? That if you're going to sell a business,
You know, this is not something that I've seen in any other Vermont charter.
Say that again?
any sale of a business,
business?
Yeah.
the current workers have a right of first refusal to purchase the
They
business.
have it or they should have it?
That they should have it, that
Should.
there should be, there are myriad benefits to worker-owned businesses, and that in a way of showing our support for this and this local, strong community organization, we should take this step within our charter.
So I just,
It's very confusing. The document he sent us was 80 pages. I'm like, I don't know how we exactly can communicate this to the town.
I'm just going to suggest that if there are proposals that come in for things that are really unusual, that those be warned as a separate article when we get to town meeting, if the board decides to
If these are the
offer
boards.
those ideas to people. Mechanically, I don't know how this is work. We have enough trouble figuring out who owns land, let alone who owns businesses, and how to handle family business. We don't regulate business ownership really as a town, and I don't know other towns that do. I think the intent is great, and I like employee ownership, but for the town to try to mechanically figure out how to regulate this, and I don't want it to drag down the other updates that I think are needed. The kinds of updates that we did talk about really relate to clarifying and expanding the authority we have under ordinances to do the things that we're doing now or talking about doing. For example, when it comes to ordinance enactment, instead of having to wait 40 days, so the charter says after we have our public hearing and adopt an ordinance, it has to be published in full in the newspaper, and we have to wait 40 days. So now that we have the internet, we can have more confidence in understanding. We could perhaps move to a system where we, after the public hearing, publish some summary or put that out whether on the newspaper or through other means of communication that we have now to the town. People who can go to the website and read the full stuff if they want, but it can be enacted in 10 days. So when we come up in the fall with an idea to change winter parking, we don't have to wait till midwinter for it to take effect. 10 days instead of 40 days is one of the ideas of updates. Being more explicit about fees and our ability to recover costs, our remediation. We're not talking about new taxes, but rather covering our costs of things more explicitly. I might just note that in the powers of the town, this is in Vermont law, the specific trumps the general. So if the general laws in the state say towns can only have certain kinds of regulations, our charter expands on that in certain subtle and not so subtle ways. For example, the Downtown Improvement District Commission, ordinarily assessment districts can only assess for bricks and mortar physical improvements, but our assessment district can fund services, marketing for the downtown. So, and it has some additional provisions for petition and building the support for that and membership of, so the legislature adopted. And that's unique to Vermont, to Middlebury. There's another one that's just quite like that. Burlington's downtown marketplace is funded by the town general taxes, for example, as opposed to just the downtown. This is a system to engage emergents downtown and tax them directly. And that relationship is, I think, constructive to leveraging money for their specific interests. We used to do this in the old days through a thing called an incorporated village, but now it's done with the assessment district more specifically. Other things that are you might not realize are in here are the ability to adopt traffic control regulations on both public and private roadways. And for example, state law provides that you can only have generally a speed limit no lower than 25. Well, our speed limit ordinance has an example or two in school areas for a lower speed limit on Mary Hogan Drive. So if these things are useful to the town in its efforts for whether it's traffic calming or whatever to be able to do this, we have some additional authority that's explicit. And I'm a fan of having tools so that the town, through its board, can use those tools when and where it's appropriate and with proper professional advice for what we really need in the community that aren't otherwise sort of the general rule of the state. So I hope that's why some of the additional powers that are in 104, the additional wording is important to look at. Other kinds of things that we talked about, we've updated this was written in 1972. There were 5 select board members, and there were all these provisions about what happens if it changes to 7 members. We have come to be with 7 members, and the idea is to let's not think about that anymore. So we cleaned that up. We're going to live with 7 members. Likewise, to correct the fiscal year, which is different from the calendar year that the charter was written on, both for reporting and other factors. The school boards, that names the old ID4 elementary school board and UD3 high school and middle school board. We're just going to refer to the school board serving Middlebury because state law is going to change on whatever they call it. And so the idea is to make the charter last longer and not have to go back and each time and change and update things. We're having more generic names for things where we can think of this. As I mentioned earlier, the manager's roles. The specific change there relates to the select board in the current charter has the authority, has a role of approving the hiring and firing of department heads. And one of the things that Mark has talked to us about is that it would be better in the current system that we have and for his management control to have more direct authority and not have the select board have a veto over that. And that's an interesting thing to ponder or think about, but that's probably the major change in the manager roles. The local option tax. In 2008, we went for 1%, and it's specifically limited to 1% in this. Personally, I hope someday the legislature will enable towns to vote on a second cent, because I think it's a lot easier to accommodate the property tax increase. The base is broader, we're a regional center, and all those reasons. If it does that, having to go back and amend our charter when that may happen seems unnecessary. So the idea was to take out the 1 cent part and instead write in whatever the legislature allows, the voters can vote to take advantage of at the time if they want to. And my strategy on that, this is not the year to ask the legislature for this. They're losing federal funding, 35% of state money is federal money. They've got school funding issues, and this is not the year to ask for the second cent, although a lot of other towns, I think, would appreciate it, particularly regional centers. But when it happens, to be able to take advantage of it readily without amending the charter. So that's the sort of baby step idea that I put in. The other main issue has to do with transparency, how we handle the notices and records. I had written in drafts that the committee talked about that reflect what we do now. We have meetings on videoed on MCTV, and we have the packets posted on the website. And I think this increase in transparency, which happened in Kathleen's time as manager, I think has been really appreciated. I really appreciate it, and I think a lot of people in the community do. Interestingly, in our discussion on this, we said, well, you know, some of those things are overly prescriptive. Should we put in the charter that, you know, we probably shouldn't mention Middlebury Community Television as an organization. We should say video cast or something. Because again, we want the charter to last longer, and maybe that organization changes names. Likewise, the publication of things in the newspaper. God forbid, there may come a day when our local newspaper is no longer, and Mark raised the example of something that happened down where he used to work in Massachusetts, where there was no local paper anymore, and the boards. So having a system that enables the board to, by resolution, say how we can best publish things. And he came up with a statute referencing this in Vermont. It's very general. You know, it says that public records in general and archival records in particular should be systematically managed to provide ready access to vital information, to promote the efficient and economical operation of government, and to preserve their legal, administrative, and informational value.
Which is what the state VSA says about state records.
Yeah, it says should, it's not a shall, and I think somewhere in between that very general thing, which if you worry about what government could do about restricting information, should some future board decide that they really don't want to let people know,
hopefully they will.
Maybe that's not explicit enough. So I'm interested in discussing this a little bit further, and Andy have a different opinion about it.
And Fred, you did see that Rebecca Irwin has graciously volunteered to talk to us about archival practices.
Andy has invited Rebecca Irwin, who is the head of special collections and the interim dean of the library, to our next meeting. So she is interested in digitizing the archival records.
Yeah.
And so we haven't really talked about this as a committee. By the way, our meeting isn't going to be on the 11th, it's going to be on the 12th, and she responded to the 11th, so we need to
We'll chat with her.
take advantage of her information about what can be digitized. I think it's oversimplifying just to say we're going to digitize everything. Organizing,
of course, we need a process. We need to make sure that we are preserving. Yeah.
Excuse me?
We need to have a parallel process to go with the policy about how we make sure that we're preserving records properly.
Yeah, just scanning, you know, public documents and having 750,000 PDFs to look through is not really helpful.
That's not
to
particularly
people.
useful.
We need the role of organizing things so you can search for them and find them. We started to do this in the archiving work, and I don't know whether that's the right system that we developed. We have one system for things that are related to properties. That's pretty clear. They're linked to the map and parcel, whoever the owner is. We have another system for planning issues, and that's what's subject to you. So if you're looking for the Mary Hogan lease, you know, you have to look in the file on the school, not the school in the rec, not the file in the rec park, for example. And Beth knows that, but not many other people know how to find where that is.
Sure.
Filing is one example. So organizing how we are able to search for things and find things, all the good work the boards have done in the past is a task that stands out there. And whether that needs to be required in the charter or through some other means, something that I have some particular identity with from spending a year on archive. Anyway, that's where we are at. Izzy and Andy, add Mark, please.
You can see in our PDF the comments that we have made in the Google Doc, so you can kind of see our thought process when things are underlined or crossed out or changed. You can kind of see what we want to spend more time on and what we might have as like draft language.
Wait, where can we see that?
That is in
There's
the monthly public meetings, I think. Yeah.
So government, go to
The
government,
draft
go
is
to
nicely marked out.
boards and committees.
Yeah.
We're going to have a clean version. Some of the comments are a bit cryptic and have been addressed, so
Yeah.
the
So we'll end up
staff
with
will
just
have
a red
clean
line.
version of this that will come out soon. And so basically, we're looking at maybe after budget coming in February or sometime.
Okay.
But we're going to need some an hour or more of board time to actually grind through this.
There's a link to it in this.
I see that, I just
section of
couldn't
the-
figure out past it was several steps to get
Yeah.
there, that I could not navigate.
Sorry
But
about
Izzy
that,
showed me how.
Oh, good.
You know, when you get to voting on this, we're going to need to have some public informational meetings about this. We have to think as a board, well, when you first get this, you might decide, should we investigate some other things that are more innovative that we ought to pose, and should they be part of the general package or options, and how you present this to the voters? It has to be an Australian ballot vote. For something that has 100 or whatever editorial changes, you don't vote on every comma and to underline. You vote on it as a package, and you have an informational meeting beforehand, and then you have a copy of this in each voting booth. So hopefully people read it beforehand and sit in the voting booth for 2 hours
Yeah, that could be
going
enough.
through it, but that's what you have to do for a document that has that many changes in it procedurally. So, I don't know, Mark and David have been great in offering comments and suggestions. I don't know whether you picked up anything at the town fair and in terms of what other towns
No,
do or found innovative, or
no, I did not, but I think you pretty much covered it. We're scheduled for our 6th meeting on the 12th and planning to report back to the full board soon.
And I do think it'll be helpful once we have a draft we're comfortable with, some sort of half-page, at most, bullet point of what this is will be kind of a helpful instrument down the road to sell this succinctly to people. You know,
By the looks, it's gonna take more than a half page.
yeah, I'd
well,
probably.
a lot of these things, some of them are housekeeping, some
Yeah.
of them are
It
aesthetic,
should
right?
get
Like,
down
you
to
don't
a
need to have
half-page,
every,
because people won't read more than that.
yeah, if we can try to
That's
accurately summarize it in a short way, hopefully, I think that'll come in handy down the road whenever we've got to pitch this. So we'll draft that too, along with the actual marked up thing.
Cool. Any questions, anybody? They were working on it? Sounds like you're well underway.
Yeah, it's a
And
good
I
time.
can see it's
An hour a month, but
it's
see,
marked
going not
up
that fast.
significantly already.
Oh, yeah.
And we
And
haven't,
we've discussed like every
Yeah.
line of it, basically.
well, it's nice to have a really good marked up packet before you bring it to the public. so
Right.
that We at least have thought about it ourselves.
Well, if anybody comes up with some things that they know of that aren't too far afield from our local role, that are particularly those that raise money without calling it a tax.
Right, fees. It's all gotta be
We,
fees.
you know, we're in a mode of trying to fund things that we obviously need to have, but can't afford, property taxes. And I see that being perpetual, so finding other ways to fund things, however small and incremental, and all important to the job.
Thanks, Fred. David? Come on up. So, as a little preface, added feature to our regularly scheduled select board meetings, we have been having discussions with town boards, committees, commission chairs, as an effort to facilitate better communication between the committees and the select board and allow us to learn what's going on within the committee. So this month we have our Development Review Board Chair David Hamilton, and I'll give it to you.
Sure. Well, thanks to the board for having me. I am a little embarrassed that I, didn't reach out myself earlier. I feel like this is a real opportunity for growth within our citizen governance, is for people like me to get over to the Planning Commission and the Concom and things like that, and to meet with you. As you know, all of the current members of the DRB and under our rules of procedure are appointed by you. And so I have some specific, I have one or so specific recommendation that I wanted to run by you, but I'm also open to any of your questions about how things are going without going too deeply into any particular matter that's before the board. Would you like me to raise my issue?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was such a blessing last night that David Sefton was in the room for an extended version of my every couple month panic about whether we'll achieve a quorum. So I have a reliable witness, Mark Welch, who's, I'm sure all of you know, an extraordinary guy, and he's part of the DRB, is joining in just to listen in. He may want to chime in at some point. So I've been concerned for some time about two issues in the operations of the board. For those of you who have visited, several of you have, I think service on this board is fairly demanding. Our role is quasi-judicial, so we are trying to make determinations on the continuous parade of edge cases where we don't really know exactly what the zoning says. And zoning reforms that have been instituted, and we basically are reacting to applicants most of the time, right? We don't get to come out and make pronouncements about what should happen. We have people come to us, just normal for a ZBA or a DRB. The two concerns I have are that, well, let me just say the strong part. I think that in my other life, I happen to be a person who visits quite a lot of zoning boards, basically from here to Texas. And I know very well the equivalent boards of, towns where I work in the eastern part of Vermont, New Hampshire, and down in Massachusetts. Very regular attendee. And I think that our board, in terms of its intellectual capacity, its fairness, its professionalism, and the way we interact compares favorably with many of those boards. Many of our decisions, I would say the great number, are by consensus. And the reason that is not that we all think the same thing, is that we take the time. So last night's meeting went till 10:20 or something like that, which is not usual, but it is a lot to ask of people. We've been very fortunate to have, I think, historically, really great people, not just generally, but also some people who bring specific talents or backgrounds. So, for example, on the board right now, we have Jeremy Rathbun, who knows a lot about town infrastructure, incredibly helpful. We have Jeannie Eisberg, who I asked to come on the board, somebody here nominated, who has a background in planning, but miraculously, like me, I have a background in construction and design. I don't work here, and neither does she. It's wonderful that we don't have these conflicts. Recently we lost Michael Reeves, who's a great member, very engaged and always prepared. And you have, I think, you're sending us a replacement. We also have always had as an alternate Jason LaRock. Now, I find Jason LaRock's opinion and professional background to be an invaluable part of operating the board. But I think his position, basically, of having to recuse from half of our applications has become untenable, and he actually submitted a verbal resignation last night. It's just over and over and over. And I reluctantly accepted it after having to jolt him to stay for a long time, because it's unfair to him to have people thinking ill of his professional integrity. I've never known him to be anything but a guy of total integrity. So I accept that. So we're now down a number, and we're down an alternate. But before this even came out, I had actually reached out to David and said, I think that we should add at least alternates, if not members, to this board. Our rules of procedure are 7. So last night, for example, Mark was traveling. I think Jeremy had something else going on. And Gary Baker, stalwart civic participant in every capacity in this town. Gary has limited mobility and he was unable to park. So so that whole quorum thing was actually, we were waiting, Gary was parked down by the park, and he doesn't move that fast. So as it turned out, we were able to operate the hearing, which attendees will either be glad for or regret terribly. But we did do the town's business. I think we did an okay job. But I think it would be great to have more slack, so that even if we have somebody like a Jason who has a lot of professional conflicts and has to be judicious about when he can show up, it looks bad. Last night two appellants, were contesting a decision, and they were asking, what is the communication that's happened so far on this board? And, these people don't know me. They have a reasonable expectation that they could ask. They could ask those questions. I thought it was a fair question. So, it is always a pressure on me as the chair and JR, the staff member, the ZA, to make sure that a quorum is present to keep the people's business going on, to be fair to applicants. And so I would like to have a little more of a bench, is the long and short of it. I'm not sure when we think that we can do this under our own bylaws to expand alternates, but we would need you to nominate them. Is that correct?
And just to add to that, we checked with VLCT and got an answer earlier today that the state statutes, the relevant ones, are silent about the number of alternates. They encourage us not to have more alternates than you have positions, but essentially it's silent. So we would, if you're comfortable with the idea, I think the DRB would have to amend their rules of procedure to increase that number to something else, and then we would go out and do our usual recruiting thing to try to find new names to bring to you as 2 or 3 or 4 alternates.
We have only one alternate now.
We have a slot for one. Obviously, we don't have him anymore.
We have
but it's 7 members and 1 slot as an alternate.
So the statute authorizes, I said earlier, 24 VSA 4460, authorizes it to be as large as 9 members. But the statute also requires a majority of the full board to act on something. So if you have to get a majority of 9, you have to increase it to full members. That's harder, perhaps, to achieve. So the idea of
This is why we're talking
appointing
about
more
alternates.
is the best way to go. I wouldn't necessarily increase the total membership, more the alternates. The board earlier tonight appointed Todd Nebraska. And so
You were there last night. It's a chaotic night, sorry.
there was another applicant who potentially could be an alternate, if the board agreed. Also, the statute contemplates that planning commission members would be alternates. This might be of use when the planning commission comes to drafting amendments to the zoning. Having someone have direct experience by attending the meetings, if they were willing to do that. And so there's some potential for some of the members, and I have to say that one of your new members, Dick Turk, was the chair of the planning commission when I came to work for the town in 1981. At that time, the planning commission reviewed major developments, and he worked for a lot of his career in much the same way that Todd did. He worked for Carrera, and then he worked for 20 years for another company, building company up in Burlington. His name escapes me right now, but he's retired, he's not active in any other things, but he's very knowledgeable about construction, and he would be one person that you might ask.
Did you say he was an applicant for the chair?
No. He was appointed recently to the planning
So,
commission.
Fred, before we talk about who to appoint, first let's decide how many we think we should have for alternates. I would like to have your opinion. We had one.
Yeah.
So even if we have James Kirby as an alternate, how many more would you like?
Yeah, so I think the ideal size for the board would be, I don't think we need to enlarge members, so if we got ourselves to a full complement of members, I think 2 alternates would do it. It's quite amazing. We have never actually had as deep a scare as we had last night that we wouldn't make quorum, which was about a parking issue. But it's mostly that I feel like I need to make sure that, as an example, Mark is online tonight. Mark, we had to review elements of the library. Well, Mark's wife is very involved with the library. It doesn't have any financial interest in that project. I mean, it's a disclosure, but it probably would be cleaner for a member who had any width to be able to just be like, go sit down. So I think 7 + 2 would be a great size. Incidentally, I dropped 5,000 words on you and forgot to say that is exactly what I think should happen, is that a cross membership of an alternate from the planning commission would be a great outcome, not mandatory or even required, but it is very hard for me to make time to get over to the PC, which I should be doing.
No, and having some cross-pollination between that board and that committee would be amazing.
Yeah.
Are there any technical or perspective blank spots in your current board composition?
Yeah.
Are you ever like, boy, I wish we had a renter. I wish we had a whatever.
Yeah, so there's, I mean, two things that have been expressed in the past is how to, which frankly, I had trouble even getting around to how you would do this. More diversity in terms of all kinds of people from socioeconomic, ethnic, and gender. So that's of interest to people. Historically, we've had an attorney often in the mix, which can be helpful, but not necessary.
Cuts both ways.
No, yeah, I mean, hey, we're married one. Let me just tell you that, the primary thing, I mean, not just because he's listening, but I think Mark is an exceptional DRB member. And he doesn't come to it because he builds things or, operates in a court of law. He's just a really informed citizen who's really thoughtful.
Sure.
Is willing to sit and think about things, and he's also willing to say when 4 people on the board think this is all great to ask a tough question. Those are the primary requirements. So in terms of professional qualifications, I don't think it's essential that we get an engineer back on, for example. It's helpful and that stuff is there, but mostly you just want a good participant.
So one of the effects of this quorum rule that we statute have, when you do have a minimum quorum, it does actually empower the swing vote that's left on the board quite significantly. And I witnessed a couple of cases in my town where that was pretty awkward. And at the time, the board chair decided to recess the hearing until other members who weren't able to attend were able to view the video and become involved and provide a better...
How is the board chair able to do that, Fred?
Board chair can recess a hearing.
By a simple motion.
Okay.
I just, it's a rare thing to have that kind of...
I've never done it, yeah.
No, but
Wow.
I'm just saying that it feels pretty awkward as a staff when you realize that you want the board to function well and
Certainly, do you
appearance
also
of not having conflicts or being overly empowering of one member, but it's
Sure.
just a mechanical thing that
You're talking about when the board is operating with
With
absolute
very
minority.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
a person who really wants something.
yeah,
They say, I'll vote for it if you do this, and
yeah.
everybody else doesn't. That's a rare circumstance, but
It's interesting, Fred. I have been on the board for however many years now, and 0 horse trading in my experience in 6-8 years, maybe more. I really expected that might be something that I would see, and I haven't seen it at all. I think the way that we've resolved the power of the swing is that we spent just a ton of time talking. And one innovation that happened over the last couple of years, which is very counterintuitive to me, and I was very uncomfortable with it at the beginning, is the deliberative session.
The what?
Deliberative session. Yeah, it's not to deliberate in public. It's to craft decisions and conditions, and that is a way to get to a decision that is, agreed by all. Is to take that time away and say, well, I'm just going to make up a fake example from my other life, like this permit for an event venue would be acceptable if we limited amplified outdoor music after 9 o'clock, or if we limited the seating to 200 or something like that. Like, whereas the proposal's out in front of everybody, and it gives us time and space to say, what would it take to get all of us to come back into this meeting and feel this is a good thing for the town.
Yeah.
in a situation like that, do you worry that if they come to you with a 300-person venue that's going to 11, right, that you have potentially harpooned a business plan with restrictions?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I entered this sort of period of service. I think the board was probably at its most pro-business, kind of posture, but I'd say it's still pretty pro, trying to figure out how to manage a conflict while getting an applicant, particularly an entrepreneur or a business applicant, what they need to operate. I'm glad to answer, if you think of something that has happened in the opposite direction.
Well, my question just was like, I worry that looking for unanimity among the board could work against, right? If it's 4-3 and you want to get those 3 through restricting what you're willing to do.
Yeah. It's a very, I'm sort of scanning back through the memories of things. I can think of one where I think that happened.
Yeah.
But again, like, that's because I'm coming from this point of view of it wasn't exactly what I wanted, but I don't really know what it was exactly what somebody else wanted. Sure. And they compromised as well. Yeah, sure. We do, one of the other great roles of people you might put on this board is that there has historically always been 1 or 2 people who will just get, say, my God, we've gone over this 1 million times. I'm putting forward a motion. So that has been helpful. It does clarify the mind.
Yeah.
Even if it's defeated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how to answer your question.
Okay. I didn't expect there to be a clean answer. It's just a tension between the board working well and giving the best result, maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
I think we're lucky to have a chair who has the experience that you have built upon from other communities and seeing how it works or doesn't work well. And I watched the video of the meeting last night, and having one member arrive 7 minutes late was not that bad. But I didn't watch the meat of the rest of it because I wasn't interested in the substance of it. But I was, when I saw this on the agenda and you talked about quorum, I wondered, there aren't any minutes today, I wonder what you're experiencing. I didn't know about Jason LaRock. I do think Jason has been a great contribution. And I really understand from my experience what he goes through and what it appears when someone who's a member of a board has the camaraderie of the board, frequently walks around the table and asks the board to objectively review their application. It looks awkward, and I sense that, but I think Jason is, we've been lucky to have him thus far, and I think we should congratulate him and appreciate his service.
Yeah, I asked the DRB to give me permission to thank him, and on their behalf, him and Michael Reed, so I'll be sending them a little note, thanking them for their service. I will say that the one specific, thing that's great about having not just an engineer, but an engineer, an architect, even a developer, or an institutional representative who deals with a lot of real estate, is that there's this constant, the tension that's always in these applications is we're doing something which is about interpreting the zoning, but there's also a septic permit or a wastewater permit in there, so the town water and sewer, and then there's emergency services, and so those interactions are always at the source of procedural questions about is this permit still good? Should we feel confident that this applicant will get that permit? And that's what's really helpful about some of these big land development operations business.
Cool.
I'm giving Andy a hard time.
I'm sorry that it's taken 4 years of my time on the board for this conversation to happen. I think it's very useful.
Yeah. Are there other things you'd like to know about our operations? You're very welcome to visit. Come see. Several of you have.
David, I think you have our support. We'll definitely expand your bench.
All right.
We'll go through the process.
So maybe as next steps, if you guys can amend your procedures to allow for 2 members, and then the manager's office will along with asking for any names you may have, we'll do our typical public outreach, and we'll see what names we can bring forth to the board for
Thank you.
consideration.
I did look it up. It is fairly easy for us to do that. So I'll try to get JR to get it on the agenda. We've got an appeal to clear out and get a decision on, but I'll get it on right away.
I think it is important. It's not simple to do this, but having board members who have a proper temperament is, as you've mentioned, really, really important for this board. You have to listen, find a fact. What's a fact? What's relevant? Are these other state firms, are they relevant? Or, no, we're enforcing the zoning. And having a particular skill, whether it's traffic engineering or some other, if you need to, you can ask for the parties to provide that information and judge. You don't have to have all the skills on the board. You have to have common sense and be able to appear fair and listen. My 2 cents.
I'll see your comment and raise it and tell you that you not only need that, the sort of LeBron James level of that is that you do that, but you also have the patience to sit and listen to somebody get their issues off their chest, which are very important to them, and range from really well thought out to impulsive, but these are your fellow citizens and their neighbors, and you gotta listen.
Yep.
So I think it's like that plus that.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
All right.
Just for your information, I did get a formal letter from Jason today.
You did? Okay.
I did, and I've drafted a thank you to him as well.
Great. I was going to tell him, or I'll say he has to resign by letter, so.
He's done it.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Exactly. All right.
And thanks for leading a very difficult committee.
Yeah.
Good. All right.
Cool.
Okay, Scott, we're bouncing back to you, and we're a little bit late, but not too much.
I always feel like I have to say it. And there's Parks and Rec. We'll get down into the weeds and hopefully I get to lighten it up a little bit. Thank you very much for inviting me tonight. I think this is what the continuing series of Meet the Department Heads, and I'm very proud and of course happy to be here. I do tend to, in most of these situations, tend to speak extemporaneously, but I don't know. I was thinking about it today, and I think I just wanted to be very clear and concise in what I wanted to express to you and where we are. Basically, I know what everyone knows about Parks and Rec. I know what people here, people out there know about Parks and Rec. I just wanted to give a little snapshot of what people may or may not know overarching. And then go into where we're at right now, and just a very brief look into the future. It's only 3 pages long. First of all, this year marks the 55th anniversary of Middlebury Parks and Recreation. And our department continues to offer a highly recognized array of seasonal programming dedicated to providing safe, well-managed, and inclusive recreational opportunities for the Middlebury community and the greater Addison County region. In addition to running the programs, we oversee the ongoing maintenance and operations of our facilities, including the pool house, the pavilion, and most importantly, the flagship, the Middlebury Recreation Center on Creek Road, which serves as a hub for municipal, athletic, community, and ACSD needs. Our department also oversees the incredible work Corey, our town gardener, does with everything downtown, from the gardens to the hanging baskets and the seasonal displays, which that is ridiculous.
Yeah, amazing.
I love the corn.
Every year.
Oh my
every
God.
year.
My wife wants hanging baskets like that. It's impossible. They're the best.
We can't afford it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, she does it 20 hours a week. You know, I mean, and she is firm about that. You know, so I mean, she does. It's incredible what she does. All of our facilities, everything that we manage in town, are extremely popular. Obviously, the rec center, especially in wintertime, it is 6 in the morning to 10 o'clock at night, almost every single day. The rec park proper, with its basketball, pickleball, tennis courts, and East Middlebury's Harold Curtis Park and Jack Brown are constantly in demand from residents and also visitors. We are very proud of our dedicated staff and volunteers and community partners who use all of this, and they use it incredibly responsibly for the most part. And it really does, it keeps Middlebury active and connected and obviously extremely healthy in a lot of ways. Where we are at right now, participation remains very strong across our core programs and the administrative partnerships which we have, which is with the skating program at Middlebury College and also the Middlebury Area Wrestling. Fiscal year 25, our gross revenue was $392,811, with an adjusted net revenue of $365,090. We registered a total of 2,422 participants. Unfortunately, this represents roughly a 2% decrease from FY24. It's a modest change that is actually pretty consistent with a lot of the other rec departments around the state. The dip likely reflects the broader economic uncertainty, including higher living costs and inflation, with some, and this is one that I noticed over the summer the most, with some families being more selective about discretionary spending, particularly when enrolling in multiple camps. So instead of a family doing the summer camp or the swim team, and then taking some time and doing a soccer camp or a basketball camp, those multiple programs seem to be dipping a little bit. So that seems to be, I'm not too concerned about it. It is 2%, and it does fall within certain, like I said, economic dips. So we're going to keep it there. We're going to work our way into hopefully fixing that. Something that David Soffern and I have talked about, and most people are incredibly surprised at. Most notably, 47% of our registrations for all of our programs are from non-residents, which demonstrates that Middlebury Parks and Recreation serves as a true regional recreational hub for Addison County. While our priority is always to serve Middlebury residents, the strong participation from surrounding towns underscores the quality and appeal of our programs and facilities, and it strengthens our revenue base, and it directly supports local programming and facility upkeep as well. The fall programs, as far as youth soccer, we have a great new Tai Chi program, gymnastics, archery, all met expectations, while activities like pickleball, pickup basketball and volleyball, bone builders, yoga, and top time continue to grow, and we are getting ready for our winter season. Just wanted to mention that even with a slight decline, participation still remains robust, and we're confident it's temporary. We're addressing it through careful budgeting, minor operational adjustments, and closer real-time monitoring of seasonal staffing costs, particularly for the big one, summer camp and pool operations. Crystal and I are continuing to find ways of mitigating this very large variable expense, using data to track costs and program enrollment, which will allow us to have the mandatory 1 counselor to 6 campers and 1 lifeguard to 25 swimmers, which is expected in order to maintain safety and program quality. The last part about this is one of the absolute gifts that this department received in 2023 was the installation of myrec.com, which is our registration software. It launched with us in 2023. It is a high-quality web-based system that allows residents to register for programs, reserve facilities, check their schedules, make payments online, anytime, from any device. It has been an absolute game changer.
Awesome.
It is also dramatically, on our end, has also dramatically improved how we work, tracking registrations, managing communication, and providing real-time reporting for planning and budgeting. It is highly efficient, accurate, and saves significant administrative time while making participation simpler and more accessible for everyone. Looking ahead, as we plan for the next fiscal year, our main focuses are going to include, as always, facility maintenance and improvements. We're going to continue working closely with Dave DiBiase at DPW to address some aging infrastructure while ensuring safety, accessibility, and functionality across all of our sites. Emily has initiated a capital improvement effort, which has already been brought to infrastructure, to address the important, very important need of resurfacing the pool. It is going to be a big project, and we had this discussion at infrastructure. Nobody even knows if it's been done. It's going to be 50-something years old, and besides throwing on some paint and maybe some caulk and stuff, it has not been done. So that's going to be a big one that's coming. Another one is program expansion. I'm very much in favor of exploring. We're well known for what we do. We're well known for the sports aspect of what we do, the gymnastics, what we do. We help out in the community, but the one thing that I really love doing, and it started with the solar eclipse party, which was a very big thing for the town, and I loved every second of it. I loved being a part of it, even though it gave Jason Ajita. I really loved that, and so therefore, based on that success and how well it went and how well everybody got together, was my impetus to bring the circus to the town this past summer. And that worked out extremely well, except for my wife almost passing out in the extreme heat. Because those tents were hot.
Yes, they were.
But it was a blast, and those kids were amazing. They were so polite. Everyone around town was talking about how great they were when they came into the shops. That's something that I'm really interested in. Actually, I should say this, I'd take that back even a little bit more. The first time that we did this is when we built the outdoor rink in 2021. In 2022 at the end of COVID, and that was a massive success. It was on the radio, it was on the television, it was everywhere. And that is just something that I would like to expand out of just what the narrow path that we're in, relatively narrow path that we're in as far as sports related activities. I'm really interested in working with BMP, especially because, wow, Catherine and Kelly, holy smokes, 2 individual tornadoes that just merged together. And we really love working with them. So we want to continue, really, not only just them, but any other organization that will bring value to our community. Community engagement, strengthening collaborations with local businesses, schools, and residents to ensure programming continues to reflect community needs and interests. And that is it. In closing, our mission, 55 years on, remains very clear. It's to keep Middlebury parks and programs vibrant, inclusive, and sustainable for many years to come. I always say thank you to, whether it's infrastructure, I always say thank you to you for being for showing the continued very strong support and for recognizing the essential role that recreation plays in the health, connection, and overall quality of life for the people of Middlebury. We can't do it without you guys. We can't do it without infrastructure. We can't do it without our coaches. We can't do it without our volunteers. It is an extremely integrated process where everybody has a hand in, as they should. So, thank you.
I have a question. I have 2 questions.
Yep.
Number 1, so you've had 2 great events in the last year. What's the big event for next year?
Dan, why would you do that? Can I reserve that and hopefully a dream?
As long as you can pull it off, yeah.
Well, I mean, so many people wanted Circus Smirkus to come back, you know, but they don't do that. Plus, apparently they're dealing with some financial issues, obviously based on that show that they put on. My God, it will come to me. That's all I'm going to say. Because actually, the circus came to me. Well, you don't need to know the details. I was just waking up in the morning and I saw that they were advertising on Facebook, and they were going to do their Big Top tour, and I just, as I said before, grabbed the fishing line and just threw it out there. I did not think anyone was going to bite. They did, and the rest was a lot of fun. Actually.
It was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Thanks. My second question is, for the camps and the programs, particularly summer, do you have a scholarship fund for?
We do. Yes.
How is that managed?
Okay, well, especially if it's Camp Cucamonga, it's just if anybody needs, they can fill out a scholarship form that comes to me, and we just do it right there.
How is it funded?
It's funded through operations.
Through operations.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and the funny thing about it is, it's actually been reduced a little bit. You know, we've reduced that line item. Nick and I have reduced that because I'm not even entirely sure why. We advertise it in the activity guide. We talk about it all the time, but the actual amount of requests have really dropped dramatically.
Really?
Yeah, it's really surprising. The most of the ones I get are from CSAC people, you know, who have their clients that they're working with, and they'll call and say, hey, is there any chance that we can get them in? And actually CSAC pays for a lot of that, you know, a lot of the scholarships. So, you know, we'll give them, let's say, a 40% discount, and then they'll cover the rest. And the very interesting one we have right now is in Ripton. Ripton got a hold of me. They want to create a fund by all the parents, you know, and the whatever board members they have up there. I can't remember the name of the exact organization, where they want to put together a pot of, I don't know, maybe $1,000. And every time a registration would come down for someone from Ripton, we would just subtract it from that pot. But other programming, especially over the summer, because we have a lot of contract camps over the summer, especially with soccer and basketball, and they will be responsible for the scholarships. So they will take it upon themselves to provide a discount or be able to provide the money that they need for the scholarship.
That's fabulous. I just can't see some child not being able to go to camp.
Right.
Oh, no,
Because,
that won't happen.
okay, good. Because I'm jumping on that.
Anybody who wants to come, we're going to find a way.
Okay, thanks. Fred?
All right.
Go ahead.
Well,
It could be a week before he might want to go now. We might be asleep by the time he finishes.
Again, great initiative by the town staff to have these department heads coming. Now you have the committee chairs coming to us. Otherwise, we'll see Scott once a year during the budget season. Now we get to see him twice a year.
Yeah,
That's great.
it's fantastic.
Just want to let you know that whatever you're doing is seen by everybody. And I hear comments all the time. All the programs you run, we really appreciate it. The question I have is about the Parks and Rec Committee.
Yes, yes.
Is it still something that's not being very active?
It is
or-
not being active right now. David
And,
Sofran and I are in deep negotiations and talks about how it will move ahead. I don't want to say appropriately, but yes, I would say.
I think that's one way of us getting information on a regular basis if one of our board members is on.
Then I got to see you quarterly.
So, that's amazing work, thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
appreciate
Ron. I appreciate that.
that's what I was going to ask about. So thank you.
Thank you, Farhad.
How is your relationship these days with a lot of the private clubs that are providing some of the oversight on the different sports and stuff? Is that going along okay?
Yes, it is. Honestly, it depends. Okay, I'm not going to say that. It does depend on the organization, yes. Especially with soccer and basketball, there has been a big influx all over the country in what is considered to be club. Club soccer, club basketball, and there's really, it's the way that it is. How do I want to say this? The way that it is set up is you have rec soccer, right. And rec soccer meets the needs of a certain segment, and then in some cases there will be a higher club soccer, which is for people to play too, or to take it more seriously. At Atletico, we work very close with Atletico. We share machines to line the fields. We do work very, very close. We provide them field space. We work together. We have another one called Monarch, who actually is over more towards the middle school, and they do a lot of their stuff there. And basketball and soccer is not as challenging as basketball because, without bringing up a painful subject, we only have one gym. And we only have one court.
Yeah, court time.
And it is unbelievable. And especially because with the MOU that we have with the high school, they get court time 6:30 to 8 o'clock every single night. So that really kind of limits. And of course, the inevitable, you built one gym, why don't you build two? You get it all the time. I was like, okay, I wasn't there for that. So
Ask him to write a check.
I know, right? Yeah. But on the other hand, we have this wonderful woman from Moncton who came down for a basketball tournament. She walked in and she was looking around and she's like, how did this happen? How does this happen? We can't even agree on getting a crossing guard, and you guys built this facility, you know? But we're very thrilled with our one court, yes. And even though it does take.
Are you involved with the skate park project?
Yes, we are working
Any
with that.
updates?
That's still in the design phase. Emily is the project manager on that, and yes, as of right now, I listen to Emily very carefully. When it gets built, and then we move into the operational phase, and we get to use it as far as Parks and Rec go, then I'll be fully involved at that point.
Next best bulk work you find a donor for, make it full size.
Yeah. Yes. Good one.
I'm impressed with some of the additional things you've brought to the program, though, so thanks.
Thank you, Brad.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Any other questions, Scott?
Can you talk about the investment that you made in the lifeguards that we've chatted about and how you worked on retention? Because that's really great.
Yes. Well, first of all, it starts off with money. If you were aware, maybe some of you were not aware, coming out of COVID, we were down to 5 lifeguards. We had 5 lifeguards who not only ran the pool, they did all the swim lessons, and they did the swim team. We had 5 of them, and they were extraordinary. But then after that, I decided and laid out basically a plan how we were going to be able to hopefully start retaining lifeguards. And it really did get down to the point that when you did have to throw money at them. Now, as I've said before, I believe even in front of this board, one of the big drawbacks was it's expensive to become a lifeguard. And the kids, or the families of the kids, especially the older high school kids or college kids, they were paying it for themselves. And as I said, there's no other job that you can get in Middlebury as a teenager or whatever, where all of a sudden you're $375 in the hole, even before you stepped in the chair for the first time. So they would work pretty much all through June just to even break even. So I came up with the plan. We started doing partial reimbursements, but now we're doing full reimbursements, which we budget for. And then we're also doing bonuses for for if you're coming back, retention bonuses, and more importantly with lifeguards for some reason, if you make it the whole summer. And I don't mean like they're quitting, I mean they go on vacation with their families, because you can become a lifeguard at 15. And it's a very weird time because the parents want them to be adults because they're 15 and get a job. But if there's a family vacation, they're 12 again, and they have to go on the family vacation. So, and which is fine, I understand that, but we do have to hire extra to make sure that we do fill out. We have the roster to fill out because we want to have the full schedule. Because during that memorable 5 lifeguard summer, we were closed on Sundays. We had half a day on Saturday. We didn't have evening swim because we just couldn't man it. But now we have a really, really very, very wonderful group of kids right now, and I will do everything I can unless forcibly retain them, or we're gonna have them come back. So, and it does, of course, involve money. Everything does right now. So.
We have a discussion about the fireworks.
Yes, we have a discussion about fireworks. Now that was an interesting call. I was home last week. My family was visiting. I got a call from DJ who runs North Star Fireworks, who has now been bought by Pyrotechnico, which is the fireworks company for the Super Bowl and and the Patriots and all the big ones. They're massive. So she called me up and said, "Yeah, I know that around this time I'm usually calling to tell you we're going to start the process. We do." She said, "I have something to tell you." I was like, "Okay." She said, "Because yes, Andy, you're absolutely correct."
And I assume it's mostly Chinese manufacturer.
That would be true.
And tariffs hit pretty hard.
130%.
Yeah.
Yes. So she was funny because she told me at first, so we budget $5,000, $6,000, and the Legion, of course, is extraordinary, and they give us $5,000 every year to help cover those costs. And so we were on the hook last year for $1,000, which is fine. And she calls me up, and she called me back and says, "So I just wanted to let you know we found the total. It's going to be $7,100." And I was like, "Oh, really?" Okay, I'm saying myself, the math doesn't work there,
not
but
so
that's
bad.
totally fine. I know, right? And then gonna go talk with my mom in the kitchen, whatever. My phone rings again. She's like, "Oh, by the way, I am so sorry. I got that so wrong. It's $10,000." Okay, Mark Rohinsky on speed dial. Let's figure out how we can do this. And so I met with everybody, and yeah, unfortunately, and the thing is that as DJ did say, as most of you know, the tariff will only be charged from the time the fireworks or the product land on U.S. soil. So there is a microscopic chance that we're getting a deal done in China that is going to bring it back down to 0%. But that's where we're at right now. This was just more of an information thing than anything.
It's going to be the best deal ever.
Yeah. And it is, as you know, if you've been, it is an extremely popular event. Hundreds and hundreds of people that just come to Rec Park, let alone people taking pictures from their front porch or Bottle Acres or whatever. So, or your house.
Indeed, we do have a great view. But I like to go down to Rec Park.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah, it was definitely rough, but yeah, we're working on a plan. And if I have to sell pencils out there by the cannon, we'll do it. See if we can cover this cost or whatever. But
yeah.
Other budget items that you can slide the money from?
That's what we're going to look at. Yeah, we're going to look at that. Crystal and I are going to look at it. Nicholas and I are going to look at it and see what we can do. I mean, I am going to go ahead tomorrow, because tomorrow we're getting close to that deadline of when we can order them. So I will contact them tomorrow, and they're fine, taking the next couple of days for us to get that figured out.
And the final dollar amount won't be known until closer to...
Correct.
When the land.
It could be back down to 5,000, or it could not.
Who knows?
Or it could be 12.5.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. That was my concern.
Maybe they'll run an ad that makes someone angry. Who knows? Amazing.
Yeah.
We live in interesting times.
Yes, we do.
So we're expecting Super Bowl-esque fireworks. At least I am.
The fireworks last year.
They always are.
They always are. True.
They were unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that's what I told her. I was like, whatever. I mean, that was really impressive.
Yeah.
And it was funny too, because this is just a little side. When I got back in contact with them at the end of September, and they said, you ordered really early. This was great. We can take 20% off of your order. And I was looking at this like, $5,000, 20%. Well, and I said, well, that's not a lot. And I said, is there any chance you could put 20% up in the sky? Make the show 20% bigger or something? And I never got a final answer on it, but I'll tell you right now, we know where that 20% went, because it was really incredible. It was an incredible show.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll look to hear what your thoughts are on how we're funding that.
Okay, great. Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas, Mark? Or anything? We've talked about it. So, yeah, we've talked about it. We're figuring out where we can get it from.
Okay.
Yeah. At least narrow down the cost as much as possible.
Any other questions or thoughts for Scott? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
so good.
Yeah.
Continues to be a big hit, Mark, bringing the staff and committees.
Amazing.
And that's very productive.
Yeah.
Drew!
Oh, come
on down.
Yay,
You,
Drew!
I got picture in picture, so we got Bourne and me.
Excellent.
So, Crystal and Dave DiBiase had emailed me. I have free money, so if that makes it any better for anybody. Emailed me about the state and local cybersecurity grant program. So the state is administering funds to help municipalities do one of three things, or to do up to 3 things for this first round. And those 3 things are move to multi-factor authentication, which we've already started the process on and will continue to be more secure, to have employees take cybersecurity training. But the thing that appeals to the town of Middlebury the most is moving to .gov. So instead of being townofmiddlebury.org, we would move to townofmiddlebury.gov. And Andy was actually in that meeting, in that training as well, training. And so he knows a little bit about it as well. But the move to .gov would be really great because as the town of Middlebury gets bigger, we're going to be sending out and receiving more emails. And you cannot spoof a .gov. So when people come or when contractors come, they need permits and we reply to them, or when Emily reaches out or something for more information, we will be guaranteed to know that it is from the legitimate source of the town of Middlebury.gov. All costs are covered through this grant program. And the federal government is waiving continued fees for keeping your .gov every year. Also with moving to the .gov is that where our DNS records are stored, which is think of DNS records as the telephone book for the internet, we'll be moving those to somewhere more secure. So going to the .gov is better for phishing attempts and everything like that, but also improving our cybersecurity overall. It's all free money, and we just need your blessing to apply for it.
You got it.
The transition.
I move
Does
to
it-
bless.
Does it slide over fairly easy?
Yeah, I mean, it's really just a matter of, it's mostly labor cost it's going to be. It's just moving the records, updating the records with our hosts, and then it will populate basically over a 48-hour period.
Okay, so we won't lose any of our
So
information.
you'll be doing all the work?
Drew, you're going to reduce the TTL, so it happens faster than that. But you do need to set up forwarding records on
Yep.
some things, right? A lot of people have these town of Middlebury.org email addresses, right? And so you need to make sure that those end up at the
That everybody
.gov
knows that,
mailboxes and all that stuff.
Yeah. But specifically something that I'm really excited about is right now, for if you needed any more information about it, right now our chief of police has a difficult time receiving emails because his email is listed as high risk. And so he has dps.vermont.gov, people trying to email him important case information, and it's getting blocked. And so making this transition will mean that our chief of police will be able to get the information that he needs to. He does get it, but he has to go through a lot of hoops and extra contacting and reaching out to the person to send it to him in a different way, which DPS, Department of Public Safety, doesn't like doing because it's less secure. And I would like to get us all to the most security posture as possible. And if you're interested, I did appear before Infrastructure Committee and gave a more detailed information about where we are, where we need to go, and how we're going to get there. So if you are curious about that.
So
There, man.
can this .gov emails, like, can the select board has those emails, the board members?
So you have
So fast.
townofmiddlebury.org, right? Emails?
We
We have-
use our personal emails. so
Well,
right now.
we have a distribution group at Selectboard, right, at townofmiddlebury.org that sends one message out to all of our personal email addresses.
Yeah, but we are using
just
our
create-
personal emails.
Correct.
So can we use a .gov email to communicate?
We talked about that
Have to
a
license
couple
it.
of years ago. Well, and we could do that. There was a hesitancy on a lot of our parts on how many emails we can manage, but it doesn't mean that, it was, at the time we were talking about whether everybody had to go that way. And there was actually a push from the state level to have us doing that.
I would like to, having just the town business on one email would be.
Yeah, there's a cost associated with it because every email you have is a license. So I guess I don't want to speak out of turn, but I guess the question would be then at that point, are you willing to absorb that cost?
Yeah.
Right.
Financial cost. Yeah.
So because it's each email comes with the licensing fee attached to it.
Right.
So what Andy was talking about the group, the
Distribution
group
list.
distribution to .com, it would be to, or
You're-
.org, it
yeah.
would be to .gov,
Yes.
but that would cost more.
So if you each for just a
Doesn't it
Just
distribute to our personal?
So that doesn't cost anything. It is if you all had individual emails, if you had Fred at townofmiddlebury.gov, Farhad at townofmiddlebury.gov, there's a licensing associated with having the actual email account. Just having a forward is not.
Do we like Town of Middlebury rather than Middlebury VT?
Ooh, that's gonna be a fun conversation. because I would actually say it's really easy for people to remember Town of Middlebury, but when we get Googled, Connecticut usually comes up first.
Exactly.
Right.
Because
There's a college.
and somebody in this room may have been putting the Congregational Church of Connecticut's service up on our TV channel for the first 3 months they were there. So that's definitely a question we can talk about.
Somebody in this room.
Very rude.
Amazing.
May have been putting the wrong Congregational Church
dear.
service on the TV channel for like a good 3 months.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a conversation we can have. But all this is about is just getting your go-ahead to apply for the grant, for round 1 of this grant for the .gov, migrating to .gov transition. Eventually there'll be more, there will more, they're going to do more ways of funding in the future for different things, but we are up to date on 2 out of the 3 things that this money covers right now.
You've got your Security Plus, and you've got a zillion better credentials than that on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was about 16, I mean.
Yeah.
Somebody want to make a?
I move to approve the proposed grant application to the state of Vermont's state and local cybersecurity grant program.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments or questions? There are none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Big resounding.
Thank you.
Board member concerns. Fred?
Nope.
A couple. First, my heart is with the Middlebury College community in the loss of one of their students to suicide. And off of that, there's always the resource of 988, the mental health crisis hotline. And something that I saw in Vermont Business Magazine today was that 911 actually now has a protocol so that if they hear something that sounds like a mental health crisis, they can directly connect a caller who calls 911 to 988, which is the more appropriate hotline. So sharing that resource widely. And then second, after our last meeting, we got an email from, I believe it was a parent of the Middlebury College men's ice hockey team about doing a honoring first responders night. And I don't know if anyone sent anything out. I love going to the games, happy to be a point person there, but wanted to make sure we have our story straight. No? Okay, I'll respond.
Most of us don't usually typically respond to those emails that come to all of us.
Oh.
But
Well, it's hockey.
Well, yeah, do we, what's the?
I usually
what's the
forward
reasoning?
them to the town manager.
Mark, have you responded?
I haven't received it.
I did not
okay.
forward that one because I did not see it.
Oh, okay.
we
Mine
typically-
come in, this is why having multiple
Thanks for that
emails can be a problem. Because my one that's posted is a Gmail account, and I get frequently spammed on my Gmail account.
Gotcha.
And so I miss occasionally. I did catch like the one today, but that was after deleting 40 or 50 spam messages. I had 2 messages out of 52 messages or something. See if you have.
Brian and I were both included in this list of recipients for this pro-Israeli anti-divestment national email campaign that was targeting Middlebury College, and a suggestion brought to the board that they take part in a divestiture. And we were getting 500 emails a day from this
More.
mailing list,
Yeah.
at least.
More.
Essentially all the same form letter, sent directly to this list that had been published by this group. And it's going to the board of Middlebury College, and for some reason, the 2 of us.
Oh,
I got run over.
Oh, come on!
At one time, I had like 10,000.
Yeah, absolutely insane.
oh
So
my
that's the danger of having
That's why you
know,
should not go with Middlebury.
I don't know if that helps,
I think
because
it would-
they're all direct from that person to that group. Oh.
Megan has an issue.
Oh, well,
question.
I was just wondering, so are we going to the game or not?
I'm going to the game.
I go-
I'll
I go
respond.
to most
Well, you can
games.
go to the game.
It's
But
a
are we
men's
going
hockey game.
as select people who are?
No, I'm
We
going
have
to
to
the
wear our
game.
2 yards, you mean?
Well, no, just like what's the response to this person who's invited us to be there as representatives of the town honoring our first responders?
It says Friday, December 5th at 7 p.m. They'd like to honor all departments in Middlebury, Bristol, and Vergennes and kind of the greater Addison County. So I'll respond and say that I'll work to connect, be the liaison between the Middlebury first responders. And if they show up,
Amazing.
great. I will also be there because I love hockey.
Great. Okay.
You can come too.
I'll be there too.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
You're invited too, Fred.
Fred shows up to everything.
I don't see him at as many hockey games as you might expect.
No, that might be why he doesn't show up to it.
I grew up in Montreal, and I did not have a slap shot
Oh,
when it was invented in the late 60s, and in
Here we
disgrace,
go.
I took up skiing.
yeah.
How'd you get back to the
There was no
60s? How did you
skiing
get
in
back to the
Montreal.
60s on this?
Okay, we're moving on. Megan?
I don't have any other concerns.
Dan?
Nothing.
Rod?
I want to talk about, I think this is for Drew. We got to change the layout of our webpage. I'm telling you. What Megan mentioned, like you have to go 2-3 steps to get to a document, right? In the regular meeting page, if I have that link, because if I go on the agenda notes, if I click on something, I lose that page completely.
So it doesn't open a new tab.
It doesn't
Yeah.
open, and it
That'd be
should
super
open.
nice.
And it just, I have to go back and scroll back to where I
Gotcha.
was.
Yeah, if the target was blank on all of those,
Yeah.
that would be great in the
Tab.
anchor. Right, Drew?
I totally agree. It's a poorly designed thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. And then I've got especially during meetings, I always lose
Yeah.
my agenda because I'm clicking into documents. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, that is.
You gotta go
amazing.
click back.
It is
I know,
how
but-
that software is designed.
Uh-huh.
So it would be a conversation of looking at.
You'd have to ask Revise to change it?
Yeah.
Ugh,
Well,
okay.
So.
yeah, a little trick that I learned years
Oh,
ago
stop it.
is go to your meeting page,
Yeah,
open it,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah.
and open it again. So you have
Yeah.
an agenda,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you have one that's your source for documents.
If you open it in Acrobat, which my new computer automatically does, it does open the new tab for each thing. But that's, yeah, I don't know why it's opening it in
That's wild.
Acrobat, but it is.
Yours opens in
It doesn't.
But now, but it solved the problem. In Acrobat, I get a new tab for each document.
okay.
Although I
It's
didn't know
never
that
seemed
that
that
charter
difficult for me,
document
I
was
just-
in there because it wasn't,
So
it
if you
wasn't
go on, like,
labeled.
if you
Yeah.
go
It
here.
was
Yeah.
unclear
Show
from
the
the
page
agenda
down.
notes that that's what
So
was in
if
there.
I,
The
if I
only thing that was
back, if I
highlighted
back
was
it, now
they
I'm
meet
on the
monthly.
top, so I gotta scroll.
All right.
back to
It
where
would
I
have been
was.
nice to know.
Okay,
that
for
was there.
anything else?
We've been doing that
If you
for
open a new tab,
6 years.
Then you have them like spread up. You have no
Meetings
idea what you're
evolving.
looking
Well,
I'm going to email David after this, and he is going to email them,
we'll
and
ask for
we
bias.
will get that worked on.
Huzzah.
David is gonna fix it, that's a motion.
That's,
That's the
yeah,
motion.
no motion required.
That's either a motion or an emotion.
Hey, I just want to say that you all have these on your desks, members of the select board. This is the Vermont Futures Project, their big document that they have been all over the state triumphing. Kevin Chu probably hands out 100 of these a week. What do you think? Yeah. There's great stuff in here. Kevin is coming to speak to the select board the first meeting in December,
That's what we're on now.
says David. I thought it was November, now it's December. Anyway, he's coming. I would love it if you all spend a little bit of time to look over this, particularly the charts and graphs, which are excellent, before he gets here, so that we can kind of get into the deeper questions that are Middlebury specific instead of looking at the high level view of things. So, very good. And I'm also intending to invite any interested development review and planning commission meetings members to that meeting as well. There we go.
It's on their website as well. If you.
It is. There's a PDF, but like, who doesn't want a nice piece of paper?
This is nice.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you, Brian.
So thank you. So this weekend is the inauguration for our new, the 18th president of Middlebury College. And the town will be represented. They actually asked me to speak at it, so.
Yeah, none of us got an invite though.
I bet you all got invites.
I got one.
I did.
What? I didn't. I put it in my calendar though. I'm just gonna show up.
I think you're all invited.
We did.
I
Will there be chocolate
RSVP'd
fountain like
too,
there was
and I
when
said
we
they're
were
gonna save a
students?
seat for me.
Good.
Will there be
No,
a
we didn't
chocolate
get an
fountain?
invitation.
Priorities.
When Leibowitz was
Oh.
inaugurated, there was a
Well,
chocolate
I'm a
fountain.
big chocolate fan, so.
20 minutes.
I need
Yeah.
something to check out.
Things have changed.
What's the status of the town college agreement?
Great question.
They were kind of waiting until the president gets officially put in, but they have actually started discussions with the town manager and are laying out some concerns, and so we do need to get moving on that. And they know that. I think we have an executive committee.
Who do I complain to get that I didn't get my invitation?
Stand outside of this sign protesting.
President himself.
I think that
I'm an important guy.
Kind of a deal.
And
I'm an important guy.
I would be shocked if the whole select board didn't get an invite. If you didn't see it, it was just a little card, so.
Okey-doke.
All right. Do I get to say the magic words?
Please.
Boom. Wrong. See, where's my agenda notes? I move to enter into an executive session with the inclusion of the town manager, assistant town manager, and director of administration related to the employment of a public officer or employee as allowed under Title I, Section 313, Sub A, Sub 3.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?